First caution flag, Mike Wallace's spin. A number of cars stopped, including both the Yates cars. Elliott Sadler and Dale Jarrett, who had to go to the rear at the start for unapproved adjustments after qualifying.
49 had to get in on his time, so he probably had more like a qualifying setup in his car. Going to be real hard to drive till he got in and made those adjustments. I'm sure he didn't intend to spin out so he could get in, but maybe he'll be better now.
Yeah, his first race was to get in. Now, this is a 3/4 mile track, but it still acts like a short track. Greg Biffle takes the green flag. The back of the field, Dale Jarrett was just halfway down the backstretch on this restart.
Kurt Busch looking under Matt Kenseth. That's for 9th place.
I thought it was pretty interesting talking to Chad Knaus, where he said, we just want to take it easy until the sun goes down and it gets dark, and then we'll work on the car.
Big picture racing.
Yeah, you know, let's see what we got once the track gets like it's going to be long, you know, in the longer part of the race.
But Darrell, you were talking about that right there earlier in the race with Kevin Harvick in the 29, Jimmy Johnson in the 48. Harvick has been right on the bottom. Jimmy Johnson, the 48, had the bottom. Harvick says, fine, I'll go to the top.
That's what drivers love about this place.
Just in front of Harvick, Brian Vickers in the 25. Steve is in his pit.
And Mike, just want to follow up on what DW said when the caution came out. Brian Vickers told his crew chief Lance McGrew, he said, I'm loose all the way through the corner. Lance said 10-4. That's going to be good for us when the sun goes down as this racetrack changes.
And the biggest thing that will change, it will gain grip. The tires will grip better. And the thing will pick up kind of a front end push. When they turn the wheel, the front ends just slide. I've been watching this 20 car here, Tony Stewart. Now, he started back about mid-pack, back in 18th. He's only worked his way up to 16th, but when he really was aggressive was on the restart. He just drove by Carl Edwards in the 99.
Yeah, I think he's just kind of hanging behind Jeff right there right now, just working along, not in any hurry.
Ryan Newman in the 12, he way up the racetrack. Seemed like he cannot keep his car on the bottom at all.
It just seems like some of these guys like Tony Stewart and then Jimmy Johnson, they have learned to pace themselves. You don't have to do it all at once. And that's what I've been seeing in Tony this year a lot.
Let's go to Stewart's pit. Here's Matt.
DW, you're exactly right. On the right of your screen, you see the orange 20 of Tony Stewart. Now, he is just riding, as he said on the radio, because the car is bad, loose on exit, needs help with forward bite. Didn't want to pit to give up track position as he works underneath the 12 of Newman. He says, oh, this car is going to be a rocket later in the race just because of how this race car is handling so early.
And that's the impound race. You got a couple things going on here. It's an impound race, so you can't work on the car after qualifying. And now we've got changing conditions starting off here in the late afternoon and running into the evening. And so you've got to have a lot of things going on to be sure you're good at the end of the day or the end of the night here.
Well, I hear a train a-coming, and it's black and silver. Harvick just blasted past Casey Mears to take over the 3rd spot. Whoa, around goes the 4. Scott Wimmer in the fence, going into turn 3, and that'll put us under caution for the 2nd time.
Another one of those cars that had to get on time. Was awfully good in practice yesterday, but a pretty hard lick on the left rear of that car.
Car's torn up big time.
The Aero exhaust Chevy headed for the garage. And there he is inside Jeremy Mayfield and gets up into Mayfield.
Yeah, he just squeezed up in front of Jeremy. I mean, Jeremy had nowhere to go.
Yellow fever early here in Virginia. Getting ready to go back to green, Greg Biffle leading, Mark Martin and Kevin Harvick. 12 cars made pit stops under that caution, including Dale Earnhardt Jr., Reed Sorensen, Sterling Marlin, Jamie McMurray, Bobby Labonte, and J.J. Yeley.
And what those 12 cars would love to see is maybe about a 10-15 lap run here, knowing that the guys up front, them would pit, and they'd get all that track position back.
Scott Wimmer is back in the race, 3 laps down, and Derek Cope came out of the garage and returns to the race 15 laps back.
I swear, if I could close my eyes, and if it was a little bit different, I think I was at Phoenix. Watching these same cars running about the same kind of race they ran at Phoenix, and Harvick won both races at Phoenix, And I swear the way that car's handling right now, it's going to take something to stop him, boys, because he is. Look at him.
And Mark Martin in the 6 realized how much quicker Kevin Harvick was than him, just kind of moved over and let that 29 go. Dick Bourbon, that 29 is on a rail right now.
Yeah, it may be on a rail, but they can still adjust more speed into that thing, Darrell. Harvick got on the radio just a few moments ago when the caution flag flew and said that the car is tight in the center and off. But you know, he has got to be going on momentum. He's got 4 Busch Series races in a row where he has finished either first or second. He's been so fast here, one here last night in the Busch Series, and he has got to be on top of the world, and he's got a car that's really on top of the world as well. Could be better.
Kurt Busch moving on. Casey Kane, this is for 9th place.
That's the 2 winners from last year here. Casey Kane won a year ago. Kurt Busch won the race here in the fall.
Well, I'll tell you right now, Harvick's got 22-gallon of gas in the trunk, but he's got 100 gallons of momentum on his side. Holy cow. Look at these guys racing all over the place.
Now Denny Hamlin in the 11, racing hurt. An off-track incident put 19 stitches in his right hand. But he raced last night in the Busch race, and he's battling hard here at his home track tonight. Matt.
Mike, he finished 10th last night in the Busch Series race. Told me when he got back to his motor coach, he spent last night and much of this morning icing down that hand. He is going to change up normally how he drives behind the wheel. Usually he's a tugger on his left hand on the wheel. Now he's going to have to go to what Mark Martin calls the Arkansas grip, using more of your arm and elbow, forcing that wheel when you go into that corner and turn. That's exactly what Mark does. Because, yep, and I talked to Mark, and I'm going to have to do that tonight.
Yeah, what he's talking about is you put that wheel, you take your right hand, plant it on the steering wheel, and look, see it got it laying on the center of the steering wheel right there. And when you come over the top with that right hand, you're holding yourself with your elbow and your arm against the steering wheel, just like you see Tony Raines doing right there in the old DLP car.
And what they're talking about, Denny Hamlin, he was injured at Lowe's Motor Speedway at a test on Wednesday night, not in a race car. They were doing foot races around the tractor and trailer. He grabbed something to make a corner and sliced his hand. You can see it right there. It's his left hand.
19 stitches, Larry. I mean, he ripped that baby open.
Now right behind Hamlin, Matt Kenseth, who came into Talladega as the point leader and lost the point lead to Jimmy Johnson. Let's go to Kenseth's pit.
Mike, right before the race, I spoke to Matt Kenseth and asked him how good his race car was. He's already moved up several positions early in this race. He said, I'm not sure. I think we have a top 10 car. No, I think we have a top 5 car. You know what? I think we can win tonight.
But you know, guys, as I watched Denny Hamlin in that 11 car, 1 year ago, he was running the Busch Series here on Friday night. 2 years ago, he was sitting in turn 4 about row 13 as a fan watching this race. And here he is racing in it tonight.
And I believe I heard him say he bet someone that one day he'd be out there doing that.
Bet 1.
Let's update some of the drivers that made stops on that caution. Dale Earnhardt Jr. now 21st, passing the Valvoline Dodge of Scott Riggs. Reed Sorensen up to 26th, Sterling Marlin 27th, Yaley 30th, and McMurray 31st.
I think it's pretty smart, Larry, for Dale Jr. Wasn't happy with the car. Get in early, get it fixed. We got a long way to go, and he's coming right back through the field.
And Darrell, it never fails at the beginning of this race. We'll have 1 or 2 or 3 quick cautions, then we get into some long green runs, and that's, I'm sure, what a lot of those guys were betting on. We'll get into a long run here.
Hardy's past Clint Boyer, sets off after Nemechek. Matt, what do they need to do on that stop?
It was a combo platter, really a strategy. Now they pitted, like Darrell said, to try to fix the race car now, but they thought more teams would hit pit road so it would help out with track position. It didn't. Working now inside the top 20 of the car, both tight and loose. The biggest issue, though, up off the corner like a lot of other guys, just no forward bite.
And what that means, when he puts the throttle down, he can't just nail it because it wants to spin the rear tires as he drives up on the straightaway.
Greg Biffle's lead is shrinking. The object getting larger in his mirror is Kevin Harvick.
And these two guys, they have been moving their car around a lot. I've been watching them last couple of laps. Actually, the top 3 include Mark Martin. They were about a groove off the bottom. That time, Kevin Harvick through 1 and 2, right back down on the bottom.
And he and Biffle within 2/100ths of a second on the stopwatch that lap. Mark Martin was a little bit slower by about 6/100ths. And in 4th, Casey Mears. ahead of Brian Vickers.
I think the best thing that happened to Brian Vickers was last week at Talladega. You know, he got a lot of weight off his back last week, and I think it really helped his confidence. I could see a whole different attitude this week coming into Richmond.
And pretty impressed with Casey Mears in that 42 car. And we got Casey Kane in the 9, slowing on the backstretch going through turn 3 and 4.
You know, he had brake issues in practice, and that's got brake issue written all over it, Matt.
DW, he just came on the radio. Kenny Francis and Mike Shibboleth, the car chief, just asked him, you have a tire going down? He says, no, I think we've lost a cylinder. It sounds and feels like I'm on 7 cylinders. Tough break for this young man, trying to make it 2 wins in a row here this spring race in Richmond.
And I tell you, this year, the Evernham engines, those things are handling down the straightaway, but they have had their share of issues this year.
40 laps, Greg Biffle leads. He has led 7 of 9 races, now 8 of 10 this year. He's led the most laps in 3 races, but he's still looking for his first top 5.
It takes preparation, endurance, and skill. Lots of skill.